Why, hello, and welcome to this installment of Collect All Monsters, a program dedicated to the kaiju side of collecting, or the collectible side of the kaiju genre. Take your pick. My name's Kyle, and I used to run the Kaijucast, and I'm here with this Avengers assembly of collectors that I have sort of gathered for this project, which we started last year. I'm saying this so if you are unfamiliar with Collect All Monsters, you might check us out. We're proud to be here for the Super Saturday Sofubi Show, and super happy to be talking about some of the things that we love, which are soft vinyl figures. Now, as I said, I used to do the Kaijucast, but I'm going to let my co-hosts here give a little introduction of themselves and talk about what they collect primarily, and we'll kick things off with Mr. Leslie Chambers. What's up, dude?
What's going on, people? I hope everybody's having a good Saturday. Yes. My name is Leslie Patrick Chambers, Leslie P. Chambers. I have my own personal YouTube channel called Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews, where I primarily just deal with X Plus and more of the realistic figures. Been a Godzilla fan for the good majority of my life, and it's been the best time ever. And I'm so happy to be a part of this endeavor of Collect All Monsters with my fellow four awesome Avengers co-host here. It's been a fun ride thus far. I'm looking forward to many fun moments with these awesome people, and I'm glad y'all tuned into the show. So without further ado, I'm gonna kick it over to my main man up there in Seattle, Washington, the one and the only, the awesome David at Dopko. What's going on, David?
Hey, Leslie, thanks so much. Nice to see everybody, and hope everybody's having a great Saturday and enjoying the show. From what you've seen so far and what's to come, I'm not sure where we're going to be placed in the context of the programming. But anyway, my name is David. I've been a long time Japanese toy collector. I'm a photographer, model builder, and proud member of Collect All Monsters. I'm a huge Japan file. Love all things Japan. That's about it. How about you, John Ruffin? How about you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, David. And it's once again a blessing to be here with all of you. Again, it's a beautiful Saturday here in Philadelphia on the East Coast. As David said, my name is John Ruffin. I've been collecting since I was under 10 years old. And I do toy photography as well. David, you can find out more about me on mykaiju.com. And it's just great to be here and also be a part of the new show. And with that said, Christine, it's good to see you.
Hi, so I'm Christine Chapin. I'm coming to you from California. I've been collecting since I was younger, but I didn't really seriously start collecting until like 2011. And if you can't tell, I'm huge into Spoobie. That's kind of like my little niche there. I do some toy photography, and I've been doing some reviews recently on my YouTube channel, which I actually can't remember the name of it right now. It's like Gojira Girl. But yeah, I like getting into all that, and I'm super excited to be part of this show on this wonderful Saturday with all my co-hosts. And how about you, Kyle?
Well, I guess I didn't really talk about what I collect, and that's pretty much everything. I mean, I collect everything from Sofubi style stuff to realistic style stuff to books to posters. I'm just a huge fan of the movies primarily. I think all of us, that's one thing we could say is we're sort of movies first, collectibles second. We collect this stuff because we love the movies so much. Yep. So what you're going to see in this episode, what you'll see in this episode is representations of licensed characters. We're definitely more into that than we are into the indie stuff, but I've been learning so much on this day and throughout helping for the Saturday Sofubi Show that I think it's really fun for us to be able to at least show you guys some of the stuff that we like and some of our favorite pieces from our collections. And because of that, what we're going to do first is we are actually going to start with Leslie, who's going to show off his 1954 X Plus, a highly realistic sculpt. And in fact, to do that, I'm going to make my main man the large screen here.
Yes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the X Plus 30 centimeter Wonderfest 1954 Rick exclusive natural color version. Yes, that's a mouthful, ladies and gentlemen. But 30 centimeters, is 12 inches tall, so it's somewhat of a good size, but the detail really speaks for itself. Now I know a lot of y'all wondering he's colored. Yes, this was like I said, a special edition, quite frankly, because the film was originally in black and white. But this one has gone on to become one of the most elusive grails as far as like S plus collectors, because it is colored, whatever. And it came with a little mini oxygen destroyer, the weapon that killed
That's cool.
Godzilla.
That's
Okay.
fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And when I started collecting S plus, this was one of the holy grails I was trying to hunt down, and I thought I would never grab, quite frankly. But it just shows that it's not a question of if you get something in this hobby, if you're persistent, it's a question of when you get something. You know what I'm saying? But I always say when it comes to Godzilla collectors, whether you are a big fan of the 54 film and or of the design of Godzilla, I think every Godzilla collector and or fan deserves at least one representation of the 54 in their collection, because this is where everything came from. It started with this guy right here. So whether
That's
it's
right.
S plus, whether it's Marmot, Bull Mark, Giga Brain, anything, if it's Japanese vinyl or whatever, you need a representation of the 54 of the Shodai Goji in your collection. And I'm proud to have this one in my personal collection. So without further ado, I'm gonna kick it over to my main man again, the awesome, the one and the only David F. Dopko. Go ahead, take it away, David.
Hey, thanks, Leslie. So I didn't really answer Kyle's question correctly. He asked what I collect, and I just talked about myself. So real quick, I collect pretty much everything: models, X plus, books, lobby cards, and of course soft vinyl figures. And it all, as Kyle said, it all stems from my love for the movies and my nostalgia for reliving those movies that have such great memories for me when I was a child. So having said that, my 54 that I'm choosing is the Toy Graph 1954 Train Biter version. Now this one I got actually at Toy Tokyo in New York City in the East Village, right around the block from where I actually used to live. Back in the 90s. It wasn't there, of course, but I visited it and it was a reasonable price. And I love this figure. I love this Godzilla design. And as Leslie said, the 54 is such an iconic Godzilla suit that everyone needs at least one representation in their collection. And I have so many 54s. Honestly, I think I have more 54 soft vinyl figures than any other specific suit, even the 64. Now, can you believe that? I have more 54. Whatever. I mean,
that's amazing.
Crazy. But yeah, as we're trying to illustrate, there's so many different varieties of soft vinyl toys, and we're focusing specifically on the 54 and how diverse these can be. So I'm going to pass it right down to John, and you can show us what you're going to choose for your 54.
And I didn't go into exactly what I collect, but like you guys, it's a broad variety. Movies on whatever media I could find them, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, also books and anything from the films, and especially the figures. I love the X Plus like Leslie, but I also love the soft vinyl figures. And the one I pulled out from 1954 is the, let me see if I can get the name right, the Sikaluna Kobo Shigeru Godzilla soft vinyl figure. And it's based on the Godzilla manga from 1954 and 55.
Oh, wow.
That's really
cool.
And
I found this on my last trip to Japan in 2019, right before the COVID. And I spotted it in Mandarake in Shibuya. And nice. I was able to find it. But then David helped me secure another, the glow in the dark.
Oh, right. That's right.
Oh, nice.
At G-Fest.
At G-Fest.
That's right.
So
that one's pretty.
Comes with his sidekick, whose name is, I'm going to get it wrong.
Oh, I love the sidekick. Oh, yeah. How cool is that?
Yeah, okay, great. And now let me pass it off and find out from Christine, whose soft vinyl collection is awesome, is amazing. What representation do you have for 1954?
Thanks, John. So I decided, even though I have a bajillion Toy Graph 54s, one that really stands out to me is the Pilot Ace 1954. So this one is actually based off the maquette version. And as you can see, it's a pretty big figure. I really liked the one that drew me to this was this particular colorway, but I don't have it with me right now, but it also comes with a little mini diorama of Godzilla peeking his head up over the top of the hill.
Those are cool.
And yeah,
Yes.
and that's one of the
Mhm.
things I really like about Pilot Ace is they come with little tiny like bonus figures with them. But I really like the maquette version. It's not really represented too much in soft vinyl form, so it's definitely different. It's a, this was the original when they first were sculpting out the suit and all that. This is what his design was, and you can see how it's changed from the maquette to the actual film version of the suit.
I love it.
Very,
Love it. Love
very
it. Love it.
cool.
And what do you got for us, Kyle, for your 54?
All right, so for my 54, I have several in my collection. And actually, for some reason, I think I have more soft vinyl pieces, Sofubi style pieces for the 54 than anything else. But I really, really love toy graph stuff. I really love that Pilot Ace. I don't have it, though. What I do have, and I also really love, is this M1
Oh, yeah, it's
realistic
gorgeous.
sculpt.
Oh, yeah.
So
Mhm.
Leslie,
Beautiful.
maybe this could like sway you into the dark side of soft vinyl toy collection. But
Join
this
us.
is one of M1's more recent sculpts, more recent releases. This is on a sort of pale yellow vinyl with the green spray, and I got it last year during the pandemic. So it's a beautiful, beautiful figure. But
It really
again,
is.
everybody just hold up their 54 to the camera, and I'll just kind of like make everybody backward. Like, look at this variety, everybody. Please.
The same.
Please
It's
learn
funny.
to
The
appreciate that.
yeah, same suit, but so many different representations of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so this is a great segue to say, because we're sort of giving people an introduction into why we love this stuff, what we're going to do is Leslie is going to be asking us some of his patented awesome questions while we do our best to answer those. And in addition to it being Leslie style questions, he's going to throw in, of course, the Sophie's Choice ones at the end for us.
Oh
Sophie's
boy.
Choice.
Oh boy.
But we're going to go ahead and kick that off if everybody's ready to go. So, Leslie, I will give you the floor, my friend.
I appreciate that. And just to let you know, I only have like maybe just 2 whammy questions, so it's not going to be like walking barefoot on hot coals type of thing like I normally do. But let me just say, out of all my awesome co-hosts here, I'm the one that doesn't really collect the Sofubi stuff, because it doesn't really speak to me. But I enjoy seeing what everybody has in terms of marmots, bull marks, popies, M1s, and just seeing just the awesome bright colors on these pieces. And you never know, you may persuade me to drive down this road, even though I got my hands in a lot of stuff right now.
Godzilla says
But
you
you
Yeah,
never
should do
know.
it, Leslie.
That's a good
You
one,
never
Kyle.
Come to
know.
our
You
side.
That'll
Come to
get
the
him.
Sofubi side.
You never know. I may dabble Sofubi here and there, but But I'm gonna do
It's a
my Steve
slippery
Har-
slope.
It's a
It's
slippery
a
slope.
slippery
Yes,
slope,
it is.
yeah.
man. Don't do it
Because
to
Yeah.
him. Don't do it to him.
there's so much awesome stuff out there. I think a lot of people really fail to
Yeah.
realize that there's so much great stuff out there. You just have to find it, and it's worth
Right.
finding if you're willing to put the work in to do it. So with that being said, let me do my Steve Harvey thing. Let me start asking these questions here. So the first question I want to ask to all my awesome co-hosts here is, what was your first ever Sofubi figure acquisition? I guess, are we going in this order with Christine, Kyle, whatever? Are we doing that, or
I don't
what?
know. Let me do this. There we go. That was sort of what it was more like originally.
Oh, it's Hollywood Squares or something.
That's
Hollywood
right.
Squares.
Wait,
All
I'm
right.
Paul Lynn. I need to be in the center square. Crunchy.
All right. Well, David,
Sorry.
my man. What was your first ever Sofubi figure acquisition?
Okay, this is gonna Kyle. You're gonna have to show the image that I provided for you. It's actually a Marmot Monster Heaven. I think it's a 64, but it might be a 65. And that is actually the problem with these. You can't really tell one from the other. It was my first time seeing soft vinyl figures, really. And I think I picked this up in 1997, right before I moved from New York to San Francisco. And then I soon got, the rest of them in that lineup. I got the 62, the 54, the 55. And I realized that, they're not really my cup of tea. I'm not digging these. And as it turns out, I think I've mentioned this in other episodes. I saw Brian Flynn from Super Seven's collection of M1s, and this is even before the Monster Heaven line started to come out. And I saw his vintage pieces, and I said, "Now this is more my cup of tea." So I quickly sold all of those. I probably should have hung on to at least one of them, just for old time's sake. But they're all gone, so I had to find this image on the internet. But yeah, that was my very first official soft vinyl figure. I've had Bandai's and that kind of thing and garage kits, but this is it. This first one. How about you, John Ruffin? What did you have as your very first soft vinyl figure?
Well, my very first, I loaned to my friend who begged me for weeks and weeks, could I please just, have it for a while. And out of my mind, I loaned it to him and I never got it back. But about 20 plus years ago, I went on a journey to find another one. And it's based on the Popey Godzilla from the Mattel Godzilla gang. And so I ended up finding the Popey, original. And there's a whole story about how I ended up getting this back it had to be the mid 90s. But this was like getting back my childhood, at least from 79, when I actually got the Godzilla gang figure. So this is my first. It stands in for my first.
That's awesome.
That said, I love this. This is like,
they're neat. Those are neat figures.
Yeah. I still have a couple others from my original collection of the Godzilla gang, but I needed Godzilla to make that gang work. Christine, what was your first?
My first is the M1 GMK.
Nice.
It's funny because when I originally started collecting, I started out with the SH Monster, the X-Boss. I was huge in the realistic stuff, and I did not I was not a fan of soft vinyl at all. So I think I had seen in the Godzilla collectors group, Brian and a bunch of other people soft vinyl, and I was like, I'll get one just to say I have one and see how I like it. So I actually bought myself this for a Valentine's Day present in 2014. I'm like, I'm gonna buy myself the soft vinyl. So and actually once it came in, I loved it. I was like, wow, it's cute looking and I like the colors. And this is what started me. After this, I was like, I need more. So I got into the M1 and I got into Toy Graph later, and now I just have a whole assortment of stuff here. But yeah, this one's pretty special to me. And I had it signed by Yoshida-san.
Oh, perfect.
Who was a student actor too. So I'm gonna be keeping this one forever.
I think I have the exact same one.
I love this
signed
one.
No, wait, you know what? I have the blue one. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, I have the blue one too.
Yeah,
the chromey blue one.
Yoshida. Yeah.
So
Good
cool
stuff. I think the fan club edition or something.
Oh, yeah.
They
So
did so many awesome.
first? Oh,
They did so many awesome varieties of that particular figure.
they did.
Just
the chromey one.
so great. I've got 3 of them, and
This one.
it's like eating chips, man. Once you start, you can't stop.
Yeah.
So true.
Really
So
good.
addicting.
And I actually think this is one of the best Godzilla sculpts of any soft vinyl toy out there.
Oh, yes.
If,
yes.
if I may be so bold, I just think I love the bulkiness of it and just the way it just flows perfectly. Anyway, sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah, I'm really glad this was my first because just the way that it looked and all that. I'm sure if I bought a different one, I would have got hooked just as much. But so this one's really special to me. So how about you, Kyle? What was your first ever Sofubi figure?
My first Sofubi figure is it might be debatable because I can't log into my old email. I mean, this is not ancient, probably not as far back as David getting his first Sofubi figure, but when Marmot, because I was totally into the Bandai figures, and because they were realistic, I wanted to have the most realistic, figures in my collection at that time. So in this room, there's a ton of Bandai figures, and when Marmot, I'd seen their Vinyl Paradise stuff, and again, I didn't really like it very much. When they released their first Parababies and their first Marmot Monster Heaven line stuff, that's what really got me to take note.
Me too.
And as a Bandai collector, there are monsters that were never released by Bandai, and so I started using these realistic Monster Heaven sculpts as stand-ins. And so my first was actually, I think it was the
Beautiful.
Monster Heaven
nice.
Varan.
That's great.
And I still
Wow.
love this
Love
figure.
that
It's
paint
really
scheme.
interesting.
Yeah, he's
got a
gorgeous.
Yes.
blue paint on the back, but he's sort of realistic from the front. It's just an interesting take on him, but the sculpt itself is just phenomenal.
Fantastic,
I
yeah.
really love
Beautiful.
this sculpt.
Oh, it's great.
And-
The eyes. Those eyes are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said,
Yeah.
it's kind of debatable because the Parababies came out at the same time, and I do have a Parababy I can kind of grab real quick. This is not one of the ones I've had for ages, but this is these figures, the Marmot Parababy line, when they came out, they were like $30, and
Wow.
so
They're not
At
now.
at the
Now they're
time,
not.
not right now.
No,
yeah.
not.
But
No,
so
for sure.
when this was coming out and it was like $30 for this figure, that was an easy buy for me. Like, oh, cool. And they come with a little thing next to it. So anyway,
Yes.
my first figures were of Sofubi style were definitely when Marmot started going more realistic and more deep cut. So that's where I
Very
started, at least. And then from there it's been a long haul because I have been collecting Sofubi stuff since then, just at a slower pace, especially these days with so
I
many.
know,
releases,
there's so much
it's kinda
coming out.
crazy.
Yeah.
All right,
you
Leslie,
know,
kicking it back to you, man.
Wow.
wait, I just want to say real
Oh, yeah,
quick.
go ahead.
It's interesting that the Varan figure that was your first is very, very similar to one of your latest figures, the Gigon Monster Heaven. That paint scheme is almost the same. Like it's very
Oh, yeah,
similar.
It definitely has
which
some
is
similar
kind of
paint scheme.
almost like a full circle kind of thing. And
Interesting, yeah.
anyway, go ahead, Leslie. Sorry. Anyway,
All good.
anywho,
You're fine. Question number 2, folks. What are y'all? I know this is a tough question, but I gotta ask it because that's what I do. That's what I do. Y'all love me for it, so don't trip. What are y'all top 3? You gotta just choose only 3. I know there's a lot to choose from out there, but what are y'all top 3 favorite Sofubi toy companies?
oh man, so hard.
David, the
so
floor
hard.
is yours.
So incredibly hard. Before I answer that, I just want to say that I may have made a mistake and said that my first figure was a Marmot Monster Heaven when I meant to say Vinyl Paradise. So it's early and I need more coffee and I'm not sure if I said it correctly. I just want to correct myself for the record because this is the Soft Vinyl Saturday Super Show and I got to get it right. So anyway, Marmot Vinyl Paradise was my first. So, okay, favorite companies. I'm going to have to start off with the one that I absolutely love that's sadly no longer producing figures, Pilot Ace.
Oh, so nice.
This figure is special because I picked this up on our Hail to the King trip to Japan, and we got this in Nakano Broadway just like about an hour before that epic interview that Kyle did with the Toho actors, with the show at Toho actors. So I love this figure.
Wow.
As Christine said, Pilot Ace, the figures are kind of large in scale. They've got great detail, and they come with a little something extra. Everyone comes with a little something extra. This one didn't because I got it loose at Mandarake, but I'm not sure if this might have been like a Wonderfest show special, something it didn't come with an extra. But yeah, Pilot Ace is number 1. Number 2, I have to go with Marmot. Just because they have produced so many iconic pieces that Bandai never did, like Kyle said before. And I love the sculpts are like sort of realistic, but also sort of whimsical and stylized. So I sort of really respond to that middle ground, not super stylized. There's still a little bit of realism to the sculpts, but I love this piece. I love Marmot. I have many Marmots in my collection. Marmot had a whole bunch of different lines. As Kyle mentioned before, Marmot has got to be number 2. And then finally, I have to give a shout out to my friends, the Nishimuras, Yuji and Michi from M1. They have produced some absolutely incredible sculpts, paint jobs. Their sculpting is a little bit more whimsical, a little bit more stylized, but I absolutely love it. I respond really, really well to that style. Also, this is, of course, the bronze Haru Nakajima figure that is, one of the cornerstones of my collection. I also have the regular version that's signed by Nakajima himself. So hats off to M1 for doing some amazing things over the years. And as Kyle said, they're still, producing awesome figures. And I can't wait to see what they've got coming in the future. So yeah, it was, Leslie, that was a hard ass question. So those are my three. John, how about you? What are your top three soft vinyl companies?
Before I give my top three, out of the four of us, I don't collect the soft vinyl figures like you all do. And the ones that I have, because I really love them, and come most from my childhood or growing up. And so I just want to mention a couple before I, pick my three favorites. I have to at least mention this band I got in 1984 as a Christmas gift from my brother. So this is still special. So Bandai, and then I had it signed by Dean Furuya on the back, which is awesome. And just one more mention, Marmot, even though it's not in my, it is in my, it's one of my favorites, this giant robo.
Nice.
I have others like it, which I just want to give a shout out to, and then my M1 Go Hayata, which is base and it's signed. So this is, I just wanted to give some of my favorites. But my favorite three, that I have to go with that I love would be the Pokey as my first, and then Giga Brain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I love Giga Brain stuff.
And the next would be Bullmark, but I won't show that one yet. And,
Fair enough.
okay.
Suspense.
And so with that said, Christine, what's your favorite three Sofubi toy companies?
Okay, well this was super hard because I love like all of them. So if there was only three, well my three favorite right now, which this is always gonna be my number one favorite, is Toygraph. I wish I had gotten into these when they first came out. I didn't start collecting Toygraph until I think 2015 or 2016 is when I got my first one. And I went nuts over these things. I absolutely love them. The colors, like I don't know if you can see this shelf over here, but they've got like super bright pink, red, blue, like all sorts of. I don't know what it is about them. The sculpts are just like super cute. And I'm so in love with Toygraph. My second choice has got to be Hazawa Gumi. I love Gumis. They're super, like, they're small. They're easy to fit onto a shelf. Like, you can put a whole bunch of them in there. And they're just adorable. They have these, like, really whimsical, like, sorry.
Lots of character.
I'm so excited. I'm choking. Yeah. They're just, like, crazy colors, too. I can't control my excitement. I'm sorry. But they have like a lot of different ones. He does like the Heisei series. He's got like I have a Millennium one here. Showa sculpts, and they come with little collector's cards, which I love. I love collecting things. So give me the cards. Give me the bonus stuff. Love his movie. And then the most recent one that is my favorite now is the Medicom toy figures that are sculpted by Enraku Ansaku. I'm addicted to these now. So I have a couple more back here, but so they're kind of a pain to get because you have to like enter a lottery to try and win them, or you can find them online afterwards. But I think that they're like, they're so fat.
Fantastic.
They're so fat and cute. And they have like, I really like this one. It's the Cybot Godzilla. And there's a lot of Cybot Godzilla figures out there. So, but it's just like, it kind of reminds me of like the shampoo bottle style kind of figures that were out before. And I'm all about these things. Give me all the cute things, the colorful things. I'll take it. So those are my top three favorites for right now. And how about you, Kyle? What are your top three favorite Sofubi companies?
So, just for the viewers out there, we did actually kind of try to not overlap too much, but it's impossible, right? Because some of the figures that are being produced today, we as a group are pretty much like in love with these things. So David mentioned M1. I'll just hit that right at the top. I talked about this 54. Christine showed off her GMK. I have a bunch I think I have
Oh,
like
wow, that's
5
a
different
beautiful
color
one.
variations of this
Oh,
one.
wow.
Definitely one of my
Wow.
favorite sculpts about.
You've got a
Oh,
bunch.
yeah.
So I would say M1 is in my top 3. In addition, here's one that people don't really talk about too much is Sun Guts. Sun Guts came
Sun
onto the
Guts, yeah.
scene, in the Godzilla scene, I should say, in 2001 when they released some GMK figures.
Nice.
I
Since
like
we're
that one.
segueing a little
Oh,
bit.
I
a
Yeah.
little,
It's
but
very
it was
cool.
not much. They didn't do much in the Godzilla stuff. And then later, I found out that they had been releasing yokai figures. If you've watched the show, you maybe have seen me show off some of my yokai stuff. But what they've been doing sort of over the past several years is they've been taking like you guys know about Baragon in the movie. Like Baragon's suit was then taken to Subaraya and then used for Pagos and Ultra Q, Naranga, Gabora, and Magular in Ultraman. If I'm missing one, just because I don't have it all in front of me, they took Baragon. So this is Sun Guts Baragon figure.
Beautiful.
And then they
Which is
took
cute.
this body and made different heads. So there's a Pagos version of it.
Awesome.
I love Pagos.
And then there's also a Naranga and a Gabora. So it's like really, I love that about Sun Guts. Not to mention their yokai figures. They're hands
Did you
down
get
really
those?
cool stuff. The yokai stuff?
Yeah. I mean, the other variations of Baragon. The
Oh,
other
no. The
Kaiju.
only other variation I have of Baragon is another Pagos, but he's like sort of blue and sparkly. Less realistic.
Oh,
Really,
cool.
really pretty.
wow.
Like a cobalt blue. Beautiful.
Yeah, actually, I mean, this guy's
Wow.
face alone. Let me get it in focus there.
It's a great. Yeah,
His
that's
face
Yeah.
alone is just
Wow.
gorgeous.
Wow.
Anyway, so
Mm.
I'd say Sun Guts is my sort of second favorite, and then, man, it's like I said, really difficult to choose a third favorite that doesn't overlap with anybody else. So I'm just gonna say
All right.
Marmot. Oh no, Marasan.
Mhm.
Sorry, Marasan. So Marasan's been around.
Marasan.
We actually earlier in the broadcasting today in Super Saturday Sofubi Show, I spoke with Eiji Kaminaga, who is the current president of the current iteration of Marusan. Marusan is an old school company that went bankrupt, back in the 60s, and they came back in different formats over the years. And in the 90s, the late 90s, they released a lot of stuff, including
I love that.
some of the mechas.
So,
Oh,
yes.
cool.
Sofubi, right? So this
Yes,
is an
awesome.
A-Cycle Light Ray from Monster Zero, one of my favorite Godzilla movies.
That's
And
awesome.
this is one of my favorite pieces that they've released. It's not the best sculpt, but it looks like a kid's toy. And in
different.
all honesty, I have the Maser Cannon and I have the Atragon,
Oh,
Kaitegon
I want
Cannon,
to start
and
getting some.
Nice.
I have
Cool.
this, and they all
love it.
technically used to belong to my child. I had these in Tiger's
Ooh.
room for the longest time, and
Commandeered them back.
I
Exactly.
commandeered them back when he
It's safekeeping.
started. When he started being like, I'm not so much of a Godzilla fan. I'm like, well, then you don't need these. But, here's the Atragon that they made.
Oh,
and
that's
you could
wow.
see like the fin broke off because it was
Yeah.
literally this was a kid's toy. So,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
now they're back with me.
Movie ready. Yeah.
and Marusan is still making stuff today in a much different format than they used to do. They are hitting the collector market, which is
Yep.
people like our age who used to collect this stuff when they were kids, and they're like, yes, I'll spend $300 on a brand new Marusan figure, as opposed to what was it, like 350 yen for their first series of figures in the
Wow.
60s, something like that. But
Wow.
anyway, yes, so M1, Sun Guts, and Marusan are my choices for favorite toy companies. Thanks, Leslie.
Kyle, I have
Yes.
a request. Can you
Okay.
quickly show your Science Patrol soft vinyl, which I think is one of the most unique pieces?
That's coming up later, though.
Oh,
Ruin the surprise, David.
I didn't want to not see it, so forgive me. Oh my god.
Well, we'll do it later.
Okay, we'll do it later.
Leslie.
Never mind. Never mind. You didn't see anything.
Back to you, Leslie.
All right, question number 3, folks. What piece of advice would you give to new collectors that want to go after Sofubi pieces? David, go for it.
Super simple. Just join Collect All Monsters. Join our Facebook group. Watch our show. We've got so many experts. I would say Christine is probably the reigning soft vinyl expert on our panel.
I'm
I
on
mean,
top of that stuff.
She knows all that stuff. She's a great resource, and she's really willing to help anybody who has questions. We have a lot of awesome viewers who know a lot about soft vinyl. Lolo Kaiju, who is one of the people who, you know, is making this day happen, is a huge expert on soft vinyl. And you know, the people that you're going to see today on the show, just reach out to them if you have any questions. They have a lot of knowledge about these things, and you know, that's all I got. I mean, that's the best way to learn and make some new friends in the process. So how about you? I think Kyle, you're next, or
I'll go with John.
Yeah. Okay, John.
Okay. Your piece of advice, David, is one of mine as well. Talk to others that are collecting, you know, soft vinyl figures. But I always buy the realistic X Plus and other, you know, figures, but I do from time to time get soft vinyl figures that jump out to me. So that would be my second piece of advice: is buy what you like, not just something that's necessarily popular or in demand.
Absolutely.
You know, and don't feel intimidated, you know, or feel, you know, shy away from asking others about it, because you know, I'm learning there are pieces that are original that are almost out of reach, and then there's others that are remakes over the years. And so do your research, you know, and ask. And there's plenty of resources, like David said, in our Facebook page, and it's, you know, wonderful folk that will help you. Christine, what advice would you give?
Pretty much along the same line that you guys are going with. Definitely do your research, and like David and John said, collect all monsters. You know, you can ask any one of us, and we'll help you out with any questions you have, anything you're looking for. Another resource that I like to use is Kaiju Battle. He always, like, anytime something new is announced, he's right on top of that. It's posted on the page, links, information, all that stuff. Another piece of advice I have is to be patient. I've definitely learned that, because there's some things that you might really, really want that are hard to find. And if you just wait it out long enough, sometimes it might take years before you get it. It'll pop up. Like, there's been things that I've been hunting that I really wanted so bad, and it would like show up for a high price. I didn't really want to pay that. And then you just wait a little bit, and eventually it'll show up. So, I mean, there's a lot of resources out there to find different, like, lines to collect, what's new and upcoming that's being produced by them. But definitely, you know, if you're not a member of Collect All Monsters group, I would suggest, you know, we're always posting any news that's any upcoming figures, and we'll definitely help you out.
Absolutely.
Love Collect All Monsters. What about you, Kyle?
Advice: don't get into it. I'm just kidding. I actually, first up, I want everybody to know that basically one of the reasons we started this show is because at the time of thinking about the inception of Collect All Monsters, it's just an onslaught of kaiju collectibles being released, and so Sofubi style is absolutely part of that, you know. So what I would say to someone who wants to get into this stuff is, my piece of advice is to not learn Japanese, but start having Japanese available to you so you can search Japanese websites. Okay,
that's
so
great.
let me explain that. And this is actually something I just talked to the crew about the other day, and I think I could just do it. Maybe it'll show up in focus. But on my phone, I have a note, and that note basically has monster names and their Japanese and, you know, English. And so I can go in, copy that, and then go to a Japanese website and search for that monster. Not only do I have the monster names in here, I have manufacturer names.
That's awesome.
I have other stuff in here too. So I just basically, that would be my suggestion. If I'm just going to choose one suggestion, is to start gathering things that you like. They're Japanese names, pop them into a note so that you can easily search for that stuff when you go to a Japanese website like Mandarake. Even though Mandarake has a very wide English language, what would I say there, channel? You can basically search Mandarake in English with pretty much no problems. It's going to come up with most everything, but every once in a while they misspell it in English or some other reason. You're not going to see piece one because you're not using the Japanese term for it. So that would be my suggestion. I could go into a lot more, but let's just leave it at that.
Perfect advice.
Yeah.
And actually, you know what? Let me chime in just a little bit here, because I think, just like I said, just because I don't really go after the Sofubi stuff, I have a piece of advice I think that can be applied not only to Sofubi, but to all collectors. And that's basically buy what you can afford, and just have fun. Like, don't come into this, seeing somebody that's probably more established than you have all this great stuff, and you want to try and top what they're doing. It's not about that. Just collect at your own pace. It's not a competition. Just collect at your own pace. Collect what you can afford. And remember, do it just to have fun, just to interact with other people that are like-minded like yourself. And I've always say, once the fun is gone, there's really no point in doing this anymore. So that's the piece of advice. So that's the piece of advice that I would give. So with that being said, let's go to the fourth question. We get down to the nitty-gritty here. And the fourth question is, if you thought the number 2 question was hard, talking about your top 3 favorite companies, this may be the hardest question so far. And I'm so sorry. I really apologize. Sorry, not sorry. But anyways, the fourth question is, what is your personal favorite Sofubi piece in your collection? David, the floor is yours, my friend.
All right, I'm going to keep this simple. It's not the Bullmark original Godzilla that I picked up in Japan. It's not the awesome Not storyboard figure. It's this guy.
Oh,
this I think is one of the crowning achievements of any soft vinyl toy ever produced. It is massive. It is detailed. It is beautiful. This is actually the very first edition of the glow-in-the-dark Giga Brain King Ghidorah with the closed mouth. I don't know if you can see that up close there, but the mouth is closed.
That's cool. That's cool.
They have reissued this figure in so many different colors. I think Del Champagne Martinez has like almost every color that they've come up with, like green, black, red, like so many. But I also have the very first issue, which is the gold open mouth with silver on the necks. So I've got those 2, and as much as I'm tempted to get so many more, they're just way too big, and they're really big shelf hogs. I have to be really careful, and I have to put the wings down a little bit so he fits in the middle of the shelf. But such a hard question, because there's so many pieces that I have a huge connection to. But I had to ask myself, what is the most dynamic soft figure that I have in my collection that most people's eyes go to instantly when they come into this room, and it has to be this guy. So Giga Brain, first edition, glow in the dark, closed mouth, King Ghidorah. John Ruffin, go.
So good. I have a select few.
Go.
I have a select few Sofubi figures, but of my favorites and the one I really wanted for many years, I got last year during the pandemic. And David, you were very helpful in the process of figuring out how to get it and when, because it was never available. And you mentioned it, the Bullmark, original, giant size, 1970 original Godzilla.
Yes.
And many of us wanted this because, as you know, from Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, or AKA Godzilla vs. the Small Monster, Ken has it at the beginning of the film, and he's playing with it on the slide, and so for me it was like, this beats Superman. Superman can't beat them all, because this is the one to have.
That is the one to have.
Yes, and it just feels like having something out of the film. Carl said earlier, we first love the films, and it's everything else, that the collectibles that just bring the movies home or out of the TV screen, and and anything connected to my childhood in such a way like this. And it's old, and it's beat up, and that's the way I like my collectibles worn. I like them worked in. I wouldn't, got to be played with, or it's got to be worked over. Give me an old book any day, or old figure. I love it. Christine, what's your Ichiban? Your favorite at the top? Daisuke. That's
All right, so this question was so not fair.
It's awesome though.
It's so awesome. I had to think so hard, because obviously Toy Guard was my favorite, but I want to try and change it up a little bit. So as of right now, currently my favorite is the Marusan
Oh.
450 Violante. Oh my gosh. Well, this is the biggest form of Violante in soft, like represented in soft vinyl.
Wow.
So it's part of the 450 series. So this one was just released at the Asakusa pop-up shop, and it's got glitter in it, and I love glitter. I used to be into I'm still into glowies, but now I'm like, I want everything glitter now. So this is right now currently my favorite. I mean, it's huge. Like as soon as you walk in here, I have her sitting up there, and like you're just immediately like, wow, what is that? It's like it's so big, and I think the sculpt is just great. The way he really portrayed her, because it's it's difficult for a kaiju like this to transfer to soft vinyl, I think, because I mean she's just so massive and there's so much going on, all her vines and all that kind of stuff. But I really like the way that he represented her here. She looks mean, she's beautiful. This is my number one favorite right now.
Yeah.
What's your favorite, Kyle?
So I'm just going to echo everybody else. What an impossible question to answer, right? I mean, I sat here and I looked at everything. David and I did a live unboxing in our group the other day, and after we did that, we just kind of hung out in the StreamYard system, and we talked about these questions. And so I took a long, hard look at my Sofubi stuff, and I have to say, as was teased a minute ago, that my favorite piece at the moment, which is an organic choice, is the Science Patrol headquarters.
Oh my God! I
didn't know it existed.
I had no idea. Wow, what a unique piece.
Oh, I would take that from your house.
Me too. Now you see,
John. Good to
now
know.
you see why I wanted him not to forget that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Oh man, I didn't know that existed. I've got to find one.
I'm pretty sure this was produced by Marmot.
I'm on it.
And it comes with a little
yes,
look at
little
that.
VTOL.
Yeah, it's
Now,
awesome.
You know, I'm a Monster fan almost primarily, like this is unique.
Different.
And I've only ever seen one other person with this in their collection. I know many people must have it in their collection because they must have produced at least 50 of them, right? So, but what I love about this, in addition to there having like a little bonus thing, and in addition to it being a building made of soft vinyl, is that you never see super straight lines in Sofubi stuff, and this is like crazy straight lines everywhere.
Yeah.
A building representation. I know Lolo loves a good tower, so eat your heart out, Lolo.
Man.
You're gonna be on the hunt now.
Science Patrol HQ in vinyl form. Get out of town, man.
Yeah, and it's got like the little radar dishes up at the top and everything.
Yeah, it does.
I see Zaycon shooting it, breaking the windows with his ray, with his ray beams or whatever. It's just like breaking my heart.
I will say one more thing about this before I pass it back to Leslie. I picked this up in Japan, and like I said, I had only seen one other person that had it in their collection. It was when my wife and I were there, our last trip in 2019. The very end, we were there for our anniversary, and we were in not Mandarake. We were in Nakano Broadway for one reason. We were going to see something. Wasn't Mandarake, and on the way out, I looked at her and I was like, I should just go in Mandarake just to make sure that there's nothing there, right? And she's like, yeah, you should, totally.
Always a good idea.
Well, we walk in there, and if anybody's been to the Nakano Broadway Mandarake, the one that's on the second floor that has all the kaiju stuff.
Paradise.
You walk right into it, and to the right-hand side of that store, right in that first aisle, in this glass case, I turn and look, and I was like, oh my God.
You could have missed it.
She turned to me and she goes, you need to buy that. And I was like,
oh, she's so
I think
sweet.
so. And she's like, you made an audible noise. If you don't buy that, you're going to regret it.
Yes.
So there he is. There it is.
It's awesome.
And you could have missed it. That's so easy to miss in that shop. I mean, it's so much.
Anyway, there you go. There's my tale. Leslie?
And let me just say that that was awesome. Like seeing that piece, You know, a piece is so awesome that when you see it, you automatically have the theme song playing in your head. So as you were
Yeah,
explaining it, I'm
absolutely.
like, da 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 da.
Yeah.
All right, we finally come to the end, ladies and gentlemen. The final question. Number 5. If you were in charge of any Sofubi toy company, which kaiju would you personally make and why? David, the floor is yours.
Okay, so in conjunction with our unboxing yesterday, Kyle and I got these beauties. Okay?
Oh,
The
so
Incredible.
nice.
autopsy
Mhm.
Godzilla with
Wow.
the translucent vinyl where you can see some of his bones and his guts. And I immediately
Amazing.
thought, hey, they could absolutely do a 54 completely clear and have a skeleton visible inside representing the oxygen destroyer dying Godzilla.
Yes.
How cool would that
That'd be
be?
incredible.
I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's an example of the prototype of this. So imagine that, if you will, being a
Wow.
54 sculpt with just bones inside. And Kyle
That'd
even
be
took it a
amazing.
step further and recommended that it be glow in the dark bones on
Oh.
the inside.
Oh, yes.
How
Oh, genius.
Sign me up.
dynamic would that be? So if I was in charge of a soft vinyl toy company, that would be number 1 on my list. And
That's
yeah,
great.
it's just kind of a no-brainer because it's such an iconic scene because Godzilla dies. That particular incarnation of Godzilla dies, and as much as I hate seeing him die, it's pretty damn cool, you know. At the same time,
It's sad too.
and
Yeah.
maybe
Mhm.
if they follow Pilot Ace's lead, the little extra piece could be an oxygen destroyer.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
This
So-
needs to happen.
Oh, wow. Yep.
This needs to happen.
Before I pass it down to John, now you guys see why I was so excited to have Kyle show you that Science Patrol. Just saying.
Yeah, no doubt.
Just saying. I could not let that
Oh,
happen.
I want one.
Okay. Just so we're clear, John, go.
Good luck, John.
I know. If I were president, what I would want is I would like para baby size, like all the from each Godzilla movie, like the teams. You know, I want a Kim figure. I want I want representation of human
Nice.
characters, but also like complete teams in the bag. You know, like from Godzilla versus Gigan. Give me all of them. But you just said something, David, and I'm going to throw this in lastly. I would love to see a Shin Godzilla Sofubi figure that has Goro Maki inside.
Ooh, interesting.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. I
It
like
will
that
be.
too. Mhm.
Okay. Christine,
How would that-
if you were president of that company, what would you do?
Gosh, I was just rethinking about it now, and I just changed my mind from the first original answer I had. So what I would want is Godzilla Jr. I don't think we don't have.
You're
Excellent.
so
I'm
right.
sure we don't
There's no
have.
Junior.
Amazing.
I love Godzilla Jr. and like in the Heisei series, he was always one of my favorites, especially in Godzilla versus Destroya. So I would want to
Yeah.
see Godzilla Jr. maybe with a little aggregate form Destroyer, but it'd be interesting to see how he would transition over to soft vinyl, like the cute kind of
Yeah.
style. But
I love that idea. That's a
That's
great
a great
Yeah.
idea. You're so
I
right. He's
can't
not
think of a
represented.
single Sofubi
No.
Godzilla Jr. at all. That's crazy.
Just the
I know.
Bandai. The only one that I
there's
see
Right,
is
only
right, but-
Bandai.
Bandai.
So when I say Sofubi, I mean I'm definitely splitting this stuff off
Mhm.
from the Bandai and the X
Yeah,
stuff.
of course.
Yeah. Even though on a technical term, yes, even X Plus are technically soft vinyl releases. Where
Right.
the
Yeah.
distinction is that
Right.
we're talking about the colorful stuff.
Stylized.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Love the colorful stuff.
I love
But
that.
Is there
yeah,
a Goro-
I want Junior.
Is there a Godzillasaurus even out there?
No.
Not that I
There's
know
not.
of.
I thought there was a Godzilla. Well, not
No.
soft vinyl.
Only
Oh.
Bandai.
Only Bandai, yeah.
Like only
Bandai.
Bandai.
And
Yeah.
Kyoto did some resin model kits
Mhm.
of those figures as well. As far as I know,
That'd be nice too.
oh wait, Medicom did a really big baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Right.
they
really?
did. They did.
Yes,
They
they
Wow.
did.
Model
Right?
kit though.
And I used to see it at
Whoa.
Kimono House in Oakland, in Emeryville. So I know that exists. And but you're right. I would love to see a series of like all of them. You know,
Yeah, the babies.
Baby,
Yeah.
Little Godzilla.
Little Godzilla, and then Junior. That would be so
Junior.
cool.
Mhm.
Long
it's
overdue.
preset.
So if anyone out there is listening who makes these things, hey, we got some good ideas up in here. So
Yeah.
That's
Go
right. Our
for it.
consultant
Make it
fees are
happen.
reasonable.
We exchange in plastic.
All right. I'm going to bulldog my way into this conversation. My decision, if I was going to be in charge of a soft vinyl toy company, M1, not that Yuji's doing a bad job, he's doing a wonderful job, but if I was in charge, I would say, hey, let's get one of the most coolest things you've ever done and make it even better, right? So M1, as we talked about earlier, produced this GMK figure. This GMK figure was sculpted by Fuyuki Shinada, who is the actual sculptor of the suits in this film.
So cool.
Right?
Amazing.
So he sculpted
Okay.
Godzilla, Baragon, Mothra, and Ghidra from GMK for M1.
Impressive.
In addition to that, M1 released, as I've shown on the show, this 2001
oh yes, absolutely.
Varan model kit, which is for
So
people who
cool.
may not be familiar. In 2001, Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack was released, but one of the earlier iterations of the script that went pretty far into pre-production had it Godzilla fighting Baragon, Varan, and Angulus, and those were the three monsters he battled. And so this Varan is based off of that design, sculpted by Fuyuki Shinada. And so if I was in charge, sorry for the long answer, I would have Shinada come back to M1 and sculpt Varan in this style and
yeah.
Angulus,
Oh.
and maybe even a new
Yeah.
Baragon, so that we could have Shinada's soft vinyl versions of all those creatures. That's what
That'd be
I would
fabulous.
That'd be neat.
Take my money.
Mhm.
Take it. Take it.
Yeah, right?
There you go.
Take
There
my
you go.
Great idea.
There you go.
Make it rain.
All
Take
right.
it.
That's awesome.
Well, I think we might have time for one of your questions, Leslie.
One
of
whammy
your
question?
A
Oh
zinger.
boy.
You got a zinger
Oh,
coming.
boy.
Yes, I do. Actually got two.
I'm not good at these.
I'm trying to figure out which one should be asked because they both kind of sting a little bit. I'll tell you what, I'll do the one that's less impactful because I am an angel when I want to be. So
I don't believe that.
all right, here's the question. Whatever. All right. Outside of the big five monsters, Godzilla, Rodan, King Ghidorah, Mechagodzilla, and Rodan. I say Rodan, right? Yes, Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, Mechagodzilla, King Ghidorah. Outside of those big five, which monster, in your opinion, has the most consistent quality of superb Sofubi releases? Could it be Biollante? Could it be Hedra? Could it be whatever is out there? But in your opinion, outside of those five, what monster do you see constantly has great Sofubi figure releases? David, go.
So this is in the Godzilla universe, right? Not Ultraman. We're gonna stick to Godzilla.
I'll tell you what, overall.
Oh, besides the big five.
That's
Holy
not fair.
crap. I gotta look. I'm looking.
Me too.
I'm gonna have to say Balta and Seijin. Because almost every toy company that we've mentioned has done some kind of a variation on the Baltan aliens. So, I was just grasping at straws. I'm going to just stick with that because I'm like, I don't even know. Or Hedera.
Yep, that's mine. Yep.
Hedera.
Yeah,
Hedera.
definitely.
Andy Peters are probably,
Definitely.
because
He's probably yelling at the screen right now.
he's screaming at the screen. They've done so many awesome, incredible, very popular versions of the Smog Monster, colorful, all the different versions. So hands down, it's got to be Hedera, the Smog Monster, and then number 2 will be Baltan Seijin. So, or how about you, John?
Yeah, that Hedera gets my vote. I think. Well, I can't say Godzilla. I all I know is Hedera. I see every variation imaginable. My goodness, every color drip or whatever, gold and pink, and I mean it's surreal. The collection, I mean, like you said, Andy Peters' collection is second to none.
Second to none.
That's my reference. That's all I ever see. Now, of
Yeah.
the others, Geigen, I think, is well represented.
Yeah, there's a lot of Geigen.
Yeah, a lot of Geigen.
Yeah.
Geigen's
that's
who I'd
true.
go with, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Christine.
Yeah, I'd have to stick with Hedra or Geigen as well. I mean, the Marmot Geigen, there's so many different color variants of that are just the blood splatter one, like wow. And yeah, I mean Hedra's all over. Even I'm not really a big fan of Hedra,
Is the
but I
blood
am.
splatter Marmot, or is that Gigabrain?
Oh
blood
yeah,
splatter?
that's Gabriel.
But you're right about the Marmot.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
it's gotta be those. I wouldn't say Geigens as I don't see a ton, but that's not a fair question. You can't like eliminate the top 5. That's all there is.
That was a really interesting question, and it really needed some thought to get it together.
Yeah.
And it came to me eventually, but yeah, cool.
Yeah, I have to agree with you.
Do we have time for the last one, or are we done?
No, I that would be the last one.
Okay.
And, yes, absolutely. I'd say Geigen. This is the Marmot Monster Heaven Geigen, which has
the Monster
amazing
Heaven. That's
colorways.
one of, yeah.
But there's also fantastic Geigens from the beginning of, because they started making Geigen figures in the 70s. So
I
basically,
need one.
That's
even
true.
I don't even have one.
Bolmark had one, Marasan has one, Bear Model has one. Basically, every company pretty much has a Geigen figure, and most of them are pretty
That's
awesome,
true.
I'd have to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes.
there
That's
we go.
true.
I'd love to see a
Yeah,
Geigen with a working saw where you could just rotate it or spin it.
That would be
Oh, a
okay.
spinning one would be cool.
There is a guy in our group named Tom Hughes who makes
Yes.
he
Oh my
makes
gosh,
3D
yeah.
printed Shogun Warriors high
No.
tall
No.
kaiju
Wow.
figures, and his Geigen actually has, I think it has a movable buzzsaw
out.
belly.
Buzzsaw
Like
stand.
we're gonna have to talk to him at some point, like get him on the show to
That'd be
show
cool.
off some of
Yeah,
this
for
stuff.
sure.
But
That would be very
yeah, I mean, woo, good stuff. Anyway, it'd be really cool if it moved, but in addition to just showing off like Geigen figure, not showing off, but talking about Geigen figures that I like, there was a die-cast Geigen that came out back in the 70s from Bullmark that had movable parts, and then that was actually reproduced in a soft vinyl form many years later for
That's
a Wonder
true.
Festival, which is pretty cool. It doesn't have movable parts, but it looks like it should.
Awesome.
Anyway.
Could I chime in one more thing about advice?
Of course, John.
I forgot about also having great books that have been published.
Yes, indeed.
That tell you about the soft vinyl figures and give you some idea of pricing. And this Japanese classic as well.
That's
it's good to have
book.
to do your research. And there are others.
100%.
Good.
100%.
Yeah, definitely agree.
All right, so let's see here. Leslie, I think that wraps up our questions, bro.
We're good. I think I pushed off to the ringer enough, even though I have found some morbid pleasure out of this. But at the same time, y'all gave me a Sofubi education that I am thoroughly was entertained. It was very informative, and I really thank you guys. And like I said, you may see a Sofubi pop up here on my side of the screen. So,
oh man!
So thank y'all very much. Thank y'all very much.
Make it so.
If I can make a prediction, I think Leslie Chambers is going to buy his first soft vinyl piece when he goes to Japan. That's my prediction.
Yes, indeed.
Oh,
That's
be
a pretty good prediction.
Yeah.
That's pretty
It'll
good.
happen. When he sees them, he won't be able to resist.
He's gonna walk down that right side of the Mandarake and Nakano Broadway, Kyle.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be like, boom,
We have to
boom,
lock him
boom.
in Mandarake until he picks up.
And I'm gonna be there to photograph it.
Yes,
That's right.
and also if you can just point me to Gyra's apartment, because he and I is going to eat steak together. So that's what we're going to do. It's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, Leslie, for coming up with those questions, and thanks to everybody for asking them. Thanks to everybody who's been watching us live. Usually our show is formatted a little bit differently, so we change things up for this particular installment. And because we're doing that, what we're going to do is we're actually going to close this episode with our Monster Showcase. Every month we ask our viewers to submit photos attached to a particular hashtag, and the hashtag for this episode was actually tied into the new movie that came out, Godzilla vs. Kong, and the hashtag was Big Lizard versus Big Monkey. And so we're going to go right into our monster showcase right now. Awesome job, everybody.
Woo!
Thank you so much once again for submitting your photos
Great.
for the Monster Showcase.
Outstanding as usual. And remember, the favorite photo of us, of the co-host, is going to receive their very own Collect All Monsters mug. So
Represent.
that will be announced Sunday morning after this show airs and after we decide which one we like the best. And it's not going to be easy because there's so many great submissions as usual. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. And we will be back next month, of course, on our regular channel and our regular time. So we're going to go ahead and close out the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. We each have a little blurb we say at the end of our episode. So I'll kick that over to Leslie to kick his off.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if you had a good time watching the show today. Yes, yes, yes.
And don't keep us a secret. Nobody likes secrets. Please share us with your friends and family. It's so hard to keep a secret anyway, so spread it. Spread the love.
If you're not catching this episode live, let us know in the comments if you liked what you saw or have any questions from today's episode.
And if you want this conversation to continue, please join us on our Facebook group, Collect All Monsters, Monster Collectors, where you too can be a Collect All Monsters Monster Collector. There you go.
All right, gang. Well, until next time, our planet may be doomed, our Earth devastated, the monsters are in revolt, and civilization is in chaos. We must unite and collect all
Monsters.
Monsters.